Don't like it at all. It seems to manage Hevrek 35's condition. Lots of vital sign stats are displayed. You got your toothpaste and my peanut butter type situation, man.
You can't seriously be buying anything that creature told us, right? I mean, it's practically blackmailing us into doing its dirty work.
To be honest, the conversation went on for so long, I'm not sure I understood all of it. How about you, Dohalim? Were you able to follow it at all?
At the very least, everything it said about the Renan Great Spirit adds up. At the end of the day, this whole chain of events comes back to astral energy. That being said, had we not previously encountered the will of Dana, I suspect I would find its story much more difficult to believe.
The spirit of Rena wants to see Dana completely destroyed.
But why? Astral energy is supposed to be a force that creates and shapes the world.
It doesn't matter. I don't care if we're up against an entire world or what its game is. We're not going to let it destroy Dana.
Right.
There is one other thing that concerns me. How the Great Spirit, the Helganquil, and the Crown Contest are all part of a centuries-long plan is clear enough. But what about the Renans? How do they factor into all this?
Now that you mention it, and all that talk, Hevrek 35 never even brought up the Renans once. And as for the Helganquil, we never did find out just what they are either.
Maybe it had a reason for keeping its silence. Or perhaps there's even more going on. Maybe the others will shed more light on the matter. Let's find out.
Yes, let's do. Stop interrupting my discovery of the plot that's been a clusterfuck this entire time. Okay, this is where we're supposed to go. What's in the upper level? Where does this go? How bizarre. I've never been a fan of, like I said before. Like, I know even Vesperio's plot was about turning people into energy to fire off and kill a giant Lovecraftian void monster. But it wasn't like super spacecrafty and sciencey like this one was. Lower level.
Who are they?
What is it?
Oh, my apologies. It's just been so long since I've seen any humans from the outside world.
Are you a Renan?
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
A kind of Renan. We're called the
The
Helgonquin.
Overseer told us to answer any questions you might have. Whatever you want to know, we'll tell you as much as we can.
That's Zephyr's
But be
voice
quick.
slash Heldal's
Our
voice.
subjects are undergoing a dramatic shift that we don't want to miss.
Aliens ruin everything in these games.
What a weird guy.
He must have meant Hevrek 35 when he mentioned that Overseer.
And what was that about subjects? You don't think he meant Dana and Rena, do you?
There isn't anyone else we can talk to. I guess we should ask around here.
It's like in Tales of Symphonia, we didn't, like, yeah, the elves were technically aliens that landed on our planet and brought the power of mana and magic. but like it wasn't focused on the elves being aliens. It was focused on the racism between humans and elves. I don't know, man.
Have you guys lived up here in Dig Faisal with Hevrek 35 for a long time?
Yes. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head just how long it's been, though. We regularly go into stasis, so our sense of time has gotten rather out of whack over the years.
Do you guys ever have like sex with each other?
Why are you
or...
all even here in the first place?
No,
Originally,
we have no need
this
for such
station
things.
was where we worked to perform maintenance on Lenegis from the outside.
We heard that the facility ended up in its current location due to an accident.
Oh, it was terrible. Apparently there was some kind of accident, and when help never arrived, they presumed the entire facility had been destroyed.
And you've been working for Hevrek 35 ever since?
Well, at first we thought that there was nobody else inside the facility, but then it turned out the Overseer was there all along.
What do you mean?
The Helganquill have the technology to cloak themselves around us Renans. As long as they don't do anything obvious, a Renan won't see one, even if it's right in front of them.
Which would explain why Shion and I failed to notice the Red Women previously. Do they employ an astral art of some sort?
I haven't been able to scientifically confirm it for myself, but from what I understand, the type of cloaking they use is primarily achieved through mechanical means. In addition, they also used hypnosis devices and information control to get us to do what they wanted without being detected. It's a pretty sophisticated operation, especially since it avoids any unnecessary conflict. I have to imagine that's how Lenegis is still run.
But aren't the Helganquill themselves controlled by the Great Spirit? If so, why aren't Renans affected by it in the same way?
The Great Spirit's mind control only works on Helganquill, so they had to employ other means to manipulate us Renans.
You act like this didn't affect you personally. If I was you, I'd be mad as hell at their deceptions.
I mean, sure, I was surprised when I first found out about it, but it happened so long ago.
Hevrek 35 has clearly ceased concealing itself, though. Why is that?
Who can say? My guess is it just got bored, or maybe even a little lonely.
Don't you want to go back home to Rena or Lenegis? Our ship is going to be fixed pretty soon. You could ride with us.
No way. If we went back after knowing the truth, they'd either just brainwash us or purge us outright. After all this time, there's nothing to be gained from going back. We've all agreed it'd be best to simply stay here and watch everything unfold instead. Things are going just fine with the Overseer. Not that it'll be around much longer. It can't extend its life any further. That said, I'm sure it's pleased to see the final stage of the plan before it passes on, though.
Thank you for answering our questions. Can we talk to you for a few minutes?
Sure. It's going to be a while before the two planets undergo their next shift, so I can talk until then.
Please, tell us what you know about the Helganquill.
You mean
His
the
fucking
overseer
sun hat's like
species?
covering up the
I
dude.
can't say I know much about them.
Well, for starters, where'd they come from?
Oh, that's funny.
Where else? From Rena, obviously.
From Rena? Wait, are you telling us those things live right alongside the Renans down there?
Of course not. There's really no such thing as Renans in the first place.
Excuse me?
Oh, I thought the Overseer explained everything.
Apparently not.
Please, tell us more.
Well, in a nutshell, the Renans were originally created from Danans by the Helganquill.
Oh, big shock.
But if that's true, then that would mean there aren't any people on Rena.
No.
There aren't. But there are Helganquill. That's what the name literally means in their language. People of Rena.
But what need could they possibly have to create a whole new race of people?
It was a way to bolster their dwindling workforce. I trust you're aware that the Helganquill are on the verge of extinction, yes? In essence, we were created to carry on their work for the Great Spirit after they all die. They gathered Danins who had an affinity for astral arts and proceeded from there. That's why we, as their descendants, can all cast arts, albeit to varying degrees.
Let me get this straight. Are you saying Renans were originally created from Danins that the Helganquil kidnapped?
Wait, that explains why almost nobody can use Astro Arts on Dana now.
Helganquil technology is truly amazing. The way they alter their bodies is far less invasive than your conventional surgeries. They have these tiny machines that are practically invisible,
Nanomachines.
which they insert into their bodies and...
Enough. You needn't tell us anymore.
How can you speak so calmly about all of this?
Well, I've known for
Guess
such a
I
long
can see how,
time.
when viewed in a certain light, their ways may sound grotesque. But if you ask me, I think they ultimately did us a favor. They saved us from crawling the earth in ignorance. If it meant their hands had to get a little dirty in the process, then so be it. Anyway, the Helganquil are the real Renans. Personally, I don't think it's such a big deal. They're also mostly the ones behind what you see going on between the two planets. I think that covers just about everything worth knowing.
I see. Thanks for filling us in.
Does he really expect us to believe that Renans never truly existed? How absurd.
Dohalim.
Never wondered
Just
why
when
we
I
all
think
look
we're getting to
exactly
the
the same
bottom of it
except
all,
the fact that your
some
eyes
new
glow.
revelation smacks us in the face.
Then let's hope this is our last revelation for a while.
Wasn't it all a little too coincidental that, you know, we happen to be able to intermingle with one another?
Do you know
He's a
anything
Nazi,
about
get
a
him!
spirit channeling plan?
If
Ich
you
bin
mean
ein
first plan from
Bombardier.
300 years ago, then yes. Do you know what its main objective was?
Yes. It was to use Lenegis to siphon off Dana's astral energy and send it to Rena.
Exactly. However, there were two problems we had to consider. First was how to collect and send such a large quantity of astral energy without it becoming sentient. Second, we had to figure out how to convert Dana's energy so it would be compatible with Rena.
I take it the solutions to those problems were to use the wedge for the collection, and then the Sovereign and Maiden to convert the energy.
We have a winner. However, the first plan failed when the Sovereign was overwhelmed and became frenzied. The reason for that is because the Maiden lost control. I'm told he slaughtered many Renans in Helganquil that day. For the next plan, we tried to recreate the Renis Alma, but we didn't have nearly enough of the other non-dark astral energy types. To amend that, we set our sights on Dana, and implemented a system whereby we could extract energy from it.
And the crown contest began.
Correct. Since the Maiden had been the failing point in the previous plan, it was decided to replace her role with machinery to avoid further mishaps. A new Sovereign had to be made as well. It was such tremendously difficult work, its success was dubious. But from the look of things, it would appear such worries were unfounded.
So that's what the purpose of that room we found in the Forbidden Zone was.
What about the flower that sprouted from Rena?
Flower? Oh, that thing. That's the physical manifestation of all the astral energy that's been harvested from Dana. As I'm sure you've noticed, it's quite a lot of energy. At this point, it's likely that it's become physically integrated with Rena's planetary structure.
Hevric 35 mentioned that the spirit channeling plan is entering its final stage. Is that true?
It is. I never thought I would live to see the day with my own eyes, and yet here we are. Are we done talking now? If it's all the same to you, I'd really rather not miss anything that's about to happen.
Wouldn't want to miss this.
He talks like the potential end of the world is just another day on the job.
You've got to remember that these guys have been living alone up here for a long time. Who knows what shape their minds are in?
It feels like our whole world has been turned upside down. Is there anything we know that's still true at this point?
Seriously, I'm still trying to process the fact that we Renans were created by the Helganquil, let alone the Sovereign and Maiden stuff.
let's take a moment to gather ourselves. I know all of this is a lot to believe and take in, but I think it's fair to say
We
that
cooked
we've
our shoes in
found
the dryer and
answers we've
ate
been
them.
looking
Now
for.
we're bored.
Does everyone agree?
Agreed. Though I'll admit
Do we
that
have
I never
to?
expected it to all
I'm sure
boil
their
down
god
to
will
Rena's
save them, or
great
at least give them
spirit
more
being
shoes to
behind
eat.
everything.
Everything that's happened, everything we've endured, it's all because of astral energy.
And to get that energy, the Great Spirit took control of the Helganquil. Then the Helganquil created the Renans, who went on to invade and rule over the Danans.
Plus, the reason the Great Spirit can't directly control the Renans as well is likely because they were originally Danans all along.
Either way, I think it's fair to say we've all had a lot to take in at once. Maybe too much, even. We should probably take it easy and rest our minds a bit. Why don't we all take some time to think things over?
Oh, for
before
fuck's
we
sake.
decide
It's
on our
another
next
goddamn
move?
split the team up and
That's a
talk to
good
everybody
idea,
and see what the
Kisara.
fuck they're feeling about this
If
shit.
the Renan Great Spirit really is
Oh, I
behind all
hate
this,
these segments.
we've got a really big fight ahead of us. Because it's not just Dana on the line, but Rena too. If we're going to do this, we need to be completely sure of ourselves. So let's go ahead and break off for now. We aren't in any immediate danger, so we should be okay.
And not only that, I have to go scavenger hunting all these
Sure you don't
fools
wanna
in the
be
different
alone
areas
right
of this
now?
stupid space
I
station.
could ask you the same question.
I figured I'd get all my thinking in while walking around and checking up on everybody.
I'll go along with you. I'm interested to hear what's on everyone's minds, too.
Sounds good. Let's go find them.
Your party
Everyone's
disbanded.
just gone there.
Everything we thought we knew. It was all just a
I hate when these
fabrication that the
games
Red
do
Women, no,
this.
that the Helganquil made up.
Right. Assuming we can believe anything that Hevric 35 has told us, that is.
Well, if the names are anything to go by, it's possible the Helganquil could be behind the fruits of Helgen too.
But if Hevric 35 was telling the truth, and this was all just one massive lie, does that mean everything we've done up until now has been pointless?
No, I don't think so. Or at least I hope not. I think it just means we've lost our foothold for now. That's all.
It just means that this entire
Really?
story was a clusterfuck that just
Well
like
then,
zigzagged
If we
until it
lost
finally got to
I
the
guess
end.
we'll just have to find another. All of us together. And if we can't find one, then we'll make a new one. End of story.
Make one, huh? I see. Right then. Count me in.
It's like it's a sci-fi story disguised as a fantasy story. We're gonna make you think that this is what's going on, but really it's just aliens. It's like, oh. Okay. Oh good, they're all just standing around here and I can just talk to them. Great. The spirit channeling plan will soon finally conclude as the Overseer reaches the end of its lifespan. After going into hibernation countless times to date, it's been a long time coming to say the least. What are we going to do once the project is over and there's nothing left for us to research? We'll always keep observing as long as there are things out there worth watching. Once our time is up, whenever it is, we shall return to nothing. It's a fitting fate for this station and its inhabitants after being cast out into the cosmos. Deep, dude.
Oh, it's you two. Does he seem like he's doing any better now?
He who? Oh, you mean Dohalim, don't you?
I know that we're all struggling to wrap our minds around it all, but he looked like he was taking it really hard earlier.
What do you think about everything we've learned? About the Renans and the Great Spirit and all that?
On some level,
Nanomachines.
I'm not even really sure what to think, to be honest. I mean, the Great Spirit is like a huge natural disaster, but with a mind and will of its own. But if that thing's hellbent on trying to destroy our planet, then the only thing left for us to do is stop it. As for the Renans, I suppose my feelings on that are a bit more mixed.
How so?
Coexistence between Danans and Renans in Menancia is still a work in progress. In my case, I think that's partly because deep down, I was still on guard around Renans. So, to be told that they're like us, that they're actually just like us is, well, I guess it's a little deflating, to be honest.
You kept a pretty level head.
You mean about the Renans? At the end of the day, the Helganquil and the Great Spirit are the ones who are responsible. But at the same time, I realize that not every Danon is
Like,
necessarily
so
going to
fucking
believe that either.
convoluted.
I know you're
Why would
already
you
aware of
make a
this,
whole nother
but the
race
list
of people
grievances the
just
Danons
to
have against the
give
Renans
energy
is
to this
long,
fucking
and
void
understandably
monster
so.
living in a hollowed out
And
planet?
if people then find out that they're all
If it's
actually one and
powerful,
the
if they're
same,
so technologically
yeah,
advanced to the point
I
where they
don't
can
think
make
they're
another
going to
race
take
of
to it too
people,
kindly.
why
Even just among the
cut out
Danons,
the middleman
I'm
and
sure
just
there
steal
will
the
be some
fucking
who emerge
energy?
with power and some
We
who
needed
won't.
to devise
I
more
think if we can
efficient
find a way to get
ways
rid of
to
that
get the energy from
imbalance,
the planet, even though
then
we
we'll
ended
be
up
in a
just using a
truly
giant
good
laser
place.
beam to fucking siphon it
Well,
out anyway.
First, we can try to figure out what to do about the existing conflicts we have.
Why?
Yeah. It'd be nice if one day people
And
could
it's like
learn
all
to
this
get
other
past
shit
their
that we
hatred
knew
like
is
Grinwell
pointless
did.
and meaningless.
It's no small task. We can't pretend like the past didn't happen and ask people to forget their very real pain and suffering.
Right. Everybody has their reasons for feeling the way that they do. But if we just keep yelling at each other about it, we'll never move on. In a worst-case scenario, it might lead to even more people getting killed.
And we all have to figure out how to meet halfway. Not just that, but to also embrace each other's pain, in a sense.
That's an interesting way of putting it.
It's true. Everybody has their own scars, their own trauma. The first step to healing those wounds is to put aside that hatred. It won't be achieved through reasoning, but I think it's a good first step, if nothing else. And now, I think I see a way to move forward. But to do that, first we need to make sure our planet isn't going to get wiped out.
Like, I need a Krusty the Clown fucking